Chapter 37. Responsibilities. When the girls came home, the married couple had just got out of the shower. They didn't need the girls smelling them what they had done in their bed. Naruto had made sure to scrub his wife nice and good, ensuring that they would continue where they left off tonight. He had always wanted to have a large family. If his wife was willing to bear him more children, he was all for it. When the girls came home, Naruto gave them a smile. "How was dinner, you two?" They smiled and said, "Good," to their father. The clone had dispersed when they entered the home, giving him the memories. The clone had found multiple ambush squads following the girls, making him sigh. He would have to deal with this. Naruto looked over at Tayayu as she came down the stairs with a glow. He smiled at her, then got more serious, something that she took notice of. She looked at him, then at the girls who had went to put their stuff in the refrigerator. Tayayu back at the blonde man. "What is wrong?" Naruto sighed as he put his arms around her to talk low so no one could hear. Anbu watched them the whole time. "I can also smell some people outside. I think it is time I speak with Gaara and Tsunade while we have the power to do our plan." Her eyes shifted to him quickly in surprise, then she nodded her head. Naruto looked over at the girls as they came back into the room. Naruto smiled at them. "Come on girls, we need to go speak to Grandma and get Uncle Gaara." Makoto stared at her father with suspicious eyes. Carrie on the other hand smiled. "What about Aunt Mari and Makeup Guy?" Tayayu snickered at the nickname while Naruto smiled at her. "We only need Uncle Gaara there for this discussion. Go get a bag packed for the night just in case my discussion goes longer than expected." They both nodded, then ran up the stairs while Naruto rubbed Tayuya's sides. "Are you okay with this still?" She nodded her head. "I think that it is the smarter option. It is our responsibility to protect our family." Naruto nodded his head at her, then gave her a quick kiss before making a clone. The clone nodded at Naruto, already knowing what his job was. The clone disappeared in a golden flash while the girls came back down with their bags. Naruto smiled, then picked up a daughter in each arm, then smiled back at them. "Let's go to Grandma's house then. Ready?" They both nodded as Tayayu wrapped her arms around his waist, then they all disappeared in a golden flash. When they arrived, they saw Gaara just arrive as well with Naruto's clone. As the clone disappeared, Naruto looked over at Gaara. "What is this about, Naruto? Your clone said you had something urgent to discuss." The blonde Jinchuriki nodded, then they all walked to the table where Tsunade was sipping on tea. She looked up at all the people in her house, then rose her eyebrow. "What the hell are you all doing in my house?" Naruto put each girl in a seat, then sat down across from Tsunade. Tayayu decided that the best seat for her was on her husband's lap while Gaara sat across from his goddaughters and nieces. Naruto stared at Tsunade. "Konohagakure cannot be trusted anymore. I got Sasuke to admit that the council helped him with this whole little plan that they had." That was when the Kazekage spoke up. "What plan are you speaking about?" The other red head in the room was the one that answered him. "Sasuke, Suigetsu and the council abducted Makoto earlier today after you all left. That is why you are here. We have a plan for this situation." This time it was the Hokage who asked the question. "What plan?" Naruto stared at her. "This will be the last decree you will be allowed to do as a Hokage, Ba-chan." She rose her eyebrow. "Naruto, you are too young to be given the mantle of Hokage." He shook his head. "No, that is not what I am talking about. Release us. Let us go to Sunagakure to live out our days in peace. They will demand your retirement for this, and you will always have a place in our home for it." Tsunade stared at him. "Naruto, you know I cannot do this." He looked at her, then at his girls before smiling at them. He continued to look at the two, then looked back over at Tsunade. "Ba-chan, you don't understand completely what I am saying. You care about us like family, and I have always considered you family. If you do not do this, we will just leave. Tayayu Koi and I can be Nuke Nin, while Makoto will not have to deal with any backfire since she is only in the academy." The Jinchuriki looked over at Tsunade, who looked over at Gaara. "What do you think about all of his, Gaara?" The red-headed Jinchuriki leaned back in his seat. "I will allow them to enter Sunagakure regardless of your decision. Even if you do not release them, then I will let them in as well as protect them." The Godime sighed before looking up at everyone. "You realize when I release one of you, the council will be all over it." Naruto smiled. "I know, that is why you are going to release the Uzumaki clan from Konohagakure." She stared at him. You have had this plan for a while, haven't you? The Uzumaki matriarch nodded her head at her. Ever since their comment in the council room 6 years ago, we have had a contention plan in effect. This was just the final straw. We have been under surveillance the entire time we have been home as well. Even when you had the girls, you were under surveillance. It is only due to Naruto having Gaara and them come to Konohagakure that they didn't make a move. Tsunade looked at Gaara, who nodded. Then Tsunade looked at the Uzumaki heads. What about Shizune and Iruka? Tayayu looked at Naruto, who looked like he was thinking. That was when their eldest daughter spoke up. What if they were adopted by our clan? They aren't in a clan, are they, so it is allowed. Naruto looked at his little girl, then smiled. That is a good idea, sweetie. The blonde Jinchuriki made 2 clones, then they flashed away before reappearing with Iruka and a pregnant Shizune. They both saw everyone and could feel the serious undertone in the room. They both sat down as Naruto smiled at them. How are you feeling, Shizune Ne-chan? Still having the morning sickness? She shook her head. No, it has mostly calmed down. Why are we here though? All Naruto's clones said that it was important. The Hokage was the one who replied. The Uzumaki clan will be leaving Konohagakure. That being said, Naruto and Tayayu have something that they want to ask you both. Naruto looked at Makoto. You can ask them, sweetie, since it was your idea. The eldest Uzumaki girl smiled. We want you both to join the Uzumaki clan so you can come with us. They looked at Naruto, who smiled and nodded his head. Iruka looked over at Shizune. What do you think, dear? She rubbed her stomach as she pondered the idea. She looked down at her stomach, then over at the Uzumaki heads, and nodded her head. The man smiled. Then another Tsunade appeared with paperwork. Naruto rose his eyebrow at her. You are not the only one who knows the shadow clone jutsu, Naruto. He smirked. Yet you haven't realized they're used to help with paperwork. Tsunade just gave him a blank stare before she screamed out in frustration. Naruto had a smile. Then she passed him forms to adopt Iruka, Shizune and their unborn child. Naruto sighed it all, then passed it to Shizune and Iruka, who both signed. That was when Tsunade pulled out the form to release a clan from supporting the village. It wasn't often that this happened, but it did now and then, so there was an official form. Tsunade wrote out that as the Godime she released the Uzumaki clan from service to Konohagakure. Naruto sighed it, then another, so that he had his own copy just in case the council tried to get clever. He put it in his pouch, then summoned another clone, who put his hand on Gaara's shoulder. I am sending my clone to buy us some land. Hopefully one that has a estate on it already. Gaara nodded, then they both disappeared. Naruto looked at Tsunade. When they demand your resignation, we will be expecting you to join us in Sunagakure. She nodded her head, then sighed. I might as well go and get this all over with. Naruto stood. I am going with you, Ba-chan. I do not trust them with family, and that includes you. Iruka-sensei, I would appreciate you and Shizune Ne-chan staying here with Tayayu and the girls. That way everyone is in one area. They nodded before Naruto came and put his hand on Tsunade's shoulder. They disappeared, then reappeared in the council members' chambers. They looked up to see Naruto's fox-slit eyes staring at them. You fools went too far this time. Both of the elderly members looked at one another, then at Naruto. Whatever do you mean, Uzumaki-san? He made an irritated "Tisk" sound as Tsunade handed them the paperwork. They looked it over, then their eyes widened. You let their clan go. Naruto was the one who stepped forward to address them this time. After you fools decided to help the now late Sasuke Uchiha and Suigetsu try to take my daughter from me, I knew what needed to be done. After your comments 6 years ago and now this, I feel that my clan is no longer safe within this village. I spoke with Tsunade-sama about my grievances and what I wanted to do, and she agreed since she has witnessed what you two have done and said. The two both shot up. This is unacceptable. We will not allow the Uzumaki clan to leave. Naruto stared at them. What do you plan to do about it? The Kazekage already knows of the plan and has agreed. We will be leaving, and if you try to stop us you will be starting a war. Perhaps with the lose of the Uzumaki clan you will learn to respect the clans that occupy and make up this village. You have forgotten that you are in office to advise, not to dictate. They both went to move until Naruto released his wind-affiliated powers, making them both sit down. Tsunade and the council members looked at him in shock. Naruto stared at them. I never revealed all my tricks to you since I didn't trust this village. If you interfere I will kill you. I am no longer a ninja of this village, and if you threaten my family one more time I will not hesitate." With that, the head of the Uzumaki clan turned and headed to the door before he was surrounded by Anbu members. He smiled, then looked at them. "I was wondering with Danzo and his minions would be arriving." Danzo came out of the shadows. "I cannot permit the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi to leave Konohagakure." Naruto stared at him. "In your own batshit crazy way I understand that you want to protect this village, Danzo. I will be leaving. I will be taking my family with me, and if you get in the way I will kill your entire Anbu division. You have kept tabs on my training. You know that it is something that I would be able to do." The War Hawk just stared at him. "What about the Uchiha?" The blonde man just continued to stare at him. "The Uchiha are dead. Makoto is an Uzumaki, not an Uchiha." Danzo just glared, then sighed before motioning for his Anbu to stand down. The elderly council members just looked at him. "What are you doing, Danzo?" He looked back at them. "He can kill us all with his control of Kyuubi. His chakra level is off the charts, and with the new addition of knowing he has an affiliation with the wind. It would be a war we would lose, and we would lose clan support and soldiers. I look at caring for Konohagakure, not you two. You have reaped what you sowed." Naruto nodded his head at Danzo, then the council looked at Tsunade. "By the way, I resign, that way you cannot undo my last decree. I will be going to Sunagakure as well to enjoy my retirement. Perhaps I will work on my tan." She turned and followed at Naruto as they left the stunned council members. Naruto looked over at Tsunade and gave a smile. "Well, I suppose the best thing to do now is pack our crap as quickly as possible and go to Sunagakure." Tsunade nodded her head. "Thank Kami for the shadow clone jutsu, eh?" The man smiled and nodded before they disappeared with Shunshuns to Tsunade's home, where their family was waiting for them. When they arrived, Naruto used his mass shadow clone jutsu to help everyone get their possessions together quickly. When everyone had gathered all their possessions, they all met back at the old Uzumaki estate before circling in Naruto's clones, grabbing onto people. With that, Naruto took them all to Sunagakure. To be continued.